What is up, everybody? Welcome back to racenews.com. Welcome back to another one of our previews. All right, let's go to the main event of the weekend. And boy, this is a hell of a race. Let's go to Churchill Downs, race 11 on the card. It will be the grade one. Stephen Foster, $1 million, the purse here, and a Breeders' Cup win, and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Classic. All right, let's go to the field here. I'll pull up on the screen. Like I said, race 11 here at Churchill. We'll go through them one by one. Give you a top pick here at the end. All right, let's go to First Mission to get this thing kicked off, who I thought ran one of his better races last time out in the Oaklawn Handicap. Oaklawn Handicap, he was the favorite, so yes, it was expected to win, but a two-length victory, really kind of no doubter after running third in the Razorback to kick off his 2025 season. So I thought it was a very nice improvement there for this horse. Obviously, has been a horse that has just kind of been hit and miss as far as, when he runs huge and when he just kind of, for lack of a better term, just kind of blows up on you a little bit, right? Of course, this was a horse as a 3-year-old that looked like was going to be one maybe to make an impact, say, in a race like the Preakness after winning there at Keeneland in the Lexington Stakes, and then, got hurt, came back as a 4-year-old, horrible in the Pegasus World Cup, but then won the Essex, won the Ali Sheba, and then a couple poor races again in this race last year, the Stephen Foster and the Whitney. And like I said, so he's kind of hit and miss. I think he shows up with a pretty good chance here. Gets Luis Saez aboard. He loses his jockey. Flavian Pratt was the jockey in the last race, and he did lose him, though, to Luis Saez. Of course, Flavian Pratt's going to be on Sierra Leone. We're going to talk about him here in a second. So I don't know. I have mixed feelings on this horse. I think First Mission, I think he's just a cut below, honestly, the rest of these horses. Well, not the rest of them, but some of the top hitters in here. I think he's more of a board hitter in this spot. I've kind of thought about playing him a little bit, but ended up not doing it. Let's keep going to the number 2 Mindframe, and he's going to be very interesting in this spot, no doubt about it. He comes in here with Irad Ortiz aboard. Ortiz was on the number 3 Skippylongstocking last time out, now on Mindframe, so that kind of gives you a little bit of an indication, although Ortiz is going to ride for Pletcher more than Saffie Joseph usually, so it's kind of hit and miss. But of course, Mindframe, a horse that burst onto the scene with an impressive maiden special weight last year as a 3-year-old, and then won an allowance on Kentucky Derby Day in his second start. I believe that was race 3 on Kentucky Derby Day, if I remember right. That race was so good, he went to the Belmont and looked like he had that race won before he drifted to the right, and Dornoch was able to win. And hey, they made a sequel. They made a sequel of the Haskell as Mindframe turned the corner, looked like he was ready to win again, and then drifted to the right, and Dornoch beats him again. So it came on after that race. He had an injury, so he laid off the rest of the season, came back into the Gulfstream Park Mile off a long layoff on March of this season, was able to get the job done. Kind of was a screwy horse. Let's just kind of call it that. He looked like he rounded the corner. He looked like he was going to win by maybe 10, and he was kind of all over the place, right? Last time out, though, in the Churchill Downs Stakes, a grade 1 event there, going 7 furlongs. That was the most impressive performance that I thought he'd had, really. That was an ultra-tough field, if you remember right, and he came rallying late and got the job done over a sloppy track by a quarter of a length. And that was the first race where you really didn't see that kind of weaving in and out type of thing or drifting off to the right. So, yeah, look, I don't think he can win this race if he turns for home and kind of did what he did in the Gulfstream Park Mile or the Haskell or the Belmont. I don't see it, right? If he kind of has his mind on business and he runs, a straight race down the stretch, then I think he becomes very dangerous. So really on the fence about what to do with him here. I'm not gonna pick him on top. I think you have to use him. I think after that last race, you just kind of have to say, yeah, he's pretty good. I do kind of question, okay, we ran 7 furlongs in that maiden special weight, and it was electric, right? The next race was at 1 mile and 16th. It was pretty electric. Then we stretched out to, 1 mile and a quarter, and he kind of, it wasn't as good. And then we stretched out to cut back to 1 mile and 1/8. It wasn't as good. And then you look at the races going 1 mile and 7 furlongs. They were very good. So I don't know, maybe a mile 16th, 7 furlongs. Maybe that's kind of where this horse hits. I think it's still a little bit questionable how far he really wants to go. Breeding says he should go okay going longer, though. And obviously they're stretching him out to a mile and 8, so they believe in him. So it's going to be very interesting. I would not be shocked at all if he wins this thing. I kind of think he's going to be the favorite in this race, and that has me a little scared to play him at a short price. But again, I do think you got to use him. I'm just not going to put him on top in this spot. All right, let's go on to the number 3, Skippylongstocking. We know who this guy is. He just shows up and runs his race every time. The problem with Skippy is when he runs in races of this caliber, he just kind of hits the board. He doesn't win. We've seen him put up good efforts. The Oakland handicap, he got third. At the Pegasus, he got third. The Woodward last year, he got second. The Whitney last year, he didn't run all that well. He did get 5th in that one. But you see the wins, the Charlestown Classic, winner. The Challenger Stakes, a winner. Last time out, the Gold Cup, really impressive, winner. So there you have it, right? I mean, it's just like, I don't know that you could trust him in this race. Now, I do think he's going to get the lead in this spot. He looks like a horse that should be out in front. I think, really, when you look at this thing, there's not a ton of speed. I think First Mission, I think Mindframe, I think Skippy. I think those are kind of the 3 that could go out towards the front. So I think it's the lead. I don't think he can beat these horses at this level, though. So, Skippy for me, hit the board. Not sure that he will be able to get the job done and win. All right, let's go to the number 4, Sierra Leone. This is a very interesting horse, right? He really, to handicappers, has been a little bit of a nemesis, I feel like. So, as a 3-year-old, won the Risen Star, won the Bluegrass, second in the Kentucky Derby in a race you just exit and go, boy, he should have done it. Third in the Belmont, second in the Jim Dandy, third in the Travers. I know a lot of people, including myself in at least the Belmont and the Jim Dandy, I backed him in that race, and I just was frustrated. It just felt like, boy, he's just never going to win one of these. And I know a lot of people kept backing him in a race like the Travers and had him in the Kentucky Derby. He came away going, gosh, he's just not that good, really. He goes to the Breeders' Cup Classic and he runs a absolutely tremendous race and gets the job done. And then you're like, okay, maybe it was just, lack of pace or this or that. And then he goes to the New Orleans last time out. He just did not show up at all. Gets beat 4.5. That was his first race since the Breeders' Cup Classic. Finished third and, got beat by Touch Upon a Star and Hall of Fame, who are good enough. Like they're not elite. He didn't get beat by Fierceness, let's say, in that race. Yeah, I don't know. I really like the workout pattern since that race. I think they kind of said, hey, maybe we ran him a little bit short. He wasn't quite ready. He should be ready now. He's had a series of very serious works that have looked very good. He returns to Churchill Downs. I think he'll really enjoy the long stretch as well. So this is it, right? I think this is a big time spot for him to kind of go, okay, maybe, he's lost it. Maybe, the Breeders' Cup Classic was kind of the anomaly in all of this. And maybe he is just a horse that's okay, but not going to be elite. He is the 3-year-old of the year from last year. He really projects to get better this year as a 4-year-old. So very interesting spot for Sierra Leone. We know at his best, he is the horse to beat in this race. We know that, but at maybe his just average race or kind of some of these other races, is he good enough? I'm not sure. We're going to find out. All right, let's go to the Kentucky Derby winner from last year, number 5, Mystik Dan. And he's very excited to see Mystik Dan back. It was a nice race to see him back in the winner's circle. Look, these Derby winners have had a bad run of it, right? A really bad run of it. And Mystik Dan kind of looked like he was going to be another one of the recent Derby winners that just didn't win a race after, he came back. Let's forget about what happened the rest of a 3-year-old season. He came back in the Pegasus World Cup, did no running, but then in the Lake of Ouachita, he did wake up. He only got beat by a nose there in that one to a pretty good horse. And then came back last time out and look, the blame, the seas parted, the rail opened up for him just like it did in the Kentucky Derby. But look, like I said when he won the Derby, hey, he got some luck, but he did take advantage of that luck. I say that again in the blame. He got some luck in that race, but he was good enough to take advantage of it. So I look at this race and I say, boy, I don't think he can win it, to be quite honest with you, but I've underestimated him a lot in his career, and a couple of times he has been able to beat me. I just don't see the rail opening up for him today, and that kind of luck. But we'll see. We know he loves Churchill Downs. That's the other good thing about it. His last 2 races at Churchill Downs, 2 victories. So we'll see if he can do it again. The number 6 is Hit Show, and he was an improbable winner last time out of the Dubai World Cup. He got the job done. I think everybody was shocked. A United States horse that nobody really was taking too serious in that race. And he was able to get it done. Now, you might say, well, why weren't you taking him serious? Well, he lost the Santa Anita handicap in third, beaten multiple lengths, just didn't look good at all. So you didn't see it coming. This is a very consistent horse, and he was winning races like the West Virginia Governor Cup and the Lucas Classic and the Fayette. Doesn't exactly scream Dubai World Cup. And like said, the Clark, did not get the job done there, did win the Louisiana. Again, another race you expect with Hit Show. And then, like I said, Santa Anita handicap, tried to step up, wasn't able to get the job done. And then boom, Dubai World Cup victory. I'm not gonna bet him in this one. He's gonna have to prove it to me again. And you may say, well, that's crazy. He won the Dubai World Cup. Yeah, but he also he's just pretty underwhelming in a race like this if you take that race out. So we'll see what happens. That was a hell of a race, and not going to talk down on him because that was a hell of a race. But my money just can't support him in this spot here. So, all right, then finally we'll go to the number 7 Ashcroft. He will be the number 7 here, and boy, you can't really talk about this one with mentioning the trainer listed being Dwayne Lucas, and just the horrifically awful news. Dwayne Lucas retired from training because of a severe health condition. Obviously, it does not sound good. I don't want to get into the details of that because, I don't think any of us know exactly what's going on, just what we've read. A horrible infection, and it sounds bleak for Dwayne. So prayers for his family first and foremost here. The horses have been transferred to Bass Nickel. Obviously, I think he'll do a very good job, but this horse, I guess, will run under Lucas. It is listed. I don't know if they'll change the trainer or not in the changes, but just a super sad situation. Again, you just can't see that name and think, man, we're not going to see that name in horse racing anymore. And that is super, super sad. But anyway, this horse, doesn't look like he has too much of a chance. 6th in the Knicks Go, 5th in the Commonwealth. So, that's the 2 starts this year. Just, 3rd off the layoff, maybe. And, maybe just some kind of magic here with Ashcroft. But on the page, just doesn't look like this horse has much of a chance. All right. That is a field of 7. Boy, that's tough to talk about, honestly. First time I've had to be on the air talking about the Dwayne Lucas situation. That's just, the gravity of that one hasn't sunk in quite yet, to be quite honest. But we'll move on. I'm sure we'll have more to say about that on the upcoming Blinkers Off, Magic Mike, and Do 2 Bet Sports this week. So, all right, that's the field of 7. And boy, yeah, I went back and forth on this one for a long time. I really debated on this one. It's kind of a matter of who you trust a little bit, right? I kind of mentioned I don't. First Mission is a little too inconsistent to me, and I'm not sure at this level. Mindframe, I don't know. Skippy, I don't really trust him in this spot. Mystik Dan, I don't really trust. And so I went to the number 4 Sierra Leone. I'm going to put Sierra Leone on top in this race. I just kind of feel like, some of his better races are good enough and will win this one. You look back, if he can kind of repeat the Breeders' Cup Classic, obviously we know he can win, but what if he runs his Jim Dandy race? It probably is good enough, right? What if he runs his Belmont race? Might be good enough. So I'm going to go number 4 Sierra Leone. I'm going to trust that Chad Brown has this horse back to his top form, or at least close to his top form. So give me number 4 Sierra Leone to win this year's version of the Stephen Foster. All right, guys, that'll do it for this preview. Hit that like button if you like the video. Hit subscribe if you really like it. Want to get alerted anytime we do videos like this. And most importantly, good luck if you're playing Churchill Downs on Saturday.